Tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the free online tool SoundTrap to record an audiobook for children. So I'm in my SoundTrap account. I've just signed in with my Google credentials. Sorry, I can speak. And then I'm going to go in and enter the studio. As that loads, I'm going to tell you that I've already chosen my book I want to read. I'm going to read Knuffle Bunny by Mo Willems. It's my son's favorite book of all time. And as we get in here, I'm going to select a blank template. SoundTrap can be used for recording all kinds of things, music and a number of other things. So I want to keep it really simple and just do some recorded voice and some sound effects. So the first thing I need to do is come in and just get familiar with the environment that I'm working in. So I can see that I'm going to be adding audio tracks here. And what I'm going to do is keep an audio track that's my voice kind of recorded each page of the narration of the book. And then I'll also be creating a loops track that has mostly my page turn sound. And then if we have some time today, we'll also add some sound effects to the book. So let's go ahead and get started. You can see some of our normal controls, just new file, open, recent, etc. You can go in and do some editing, and those are all grayed out right now because I don't have anything recorded that I'm working with. I can change some basic settings. And they do have tutorials that are built in. So if you ever need additional help, you can go in and see those tutorials. Over on the right-hand side, we also have our loops library, which we'll be working with in a bit. And then we also have some collaboration tools. So you can actually share SoundTrap projects with other people, which is really nice. All right, so I'm going to start by clicking Add New Track. And because I'm recording my voice, I'm choosing the voice and microphones option. Now, the first thing that it brings up is this panel that allows you to choose if you want any preset effects on your microphone. And I really don't want any for this particular project because I don't want my voice to be echoey or anything like that. Maybe if I were reading a science fiction book, or if I were reading one that was supposed to be scary, or that was from an animal's point of view or something, I could play with the sound effects a little bit. But instead, I'm just going to do either clean, or my favorite one is actually podcast. So we're just going to scroll through until we find that podcast option. That just keeps all of the echo effect, that's what reverb is, out of my voice, but keeps a nice volume and a nice kind of open microphone going on. So that's the panel that I'm going to use to record my voice today. Now to start out, I'm going to turn in my book to the title page. This is a great chance for kids to learn about how books are structured. And my first task is going to be to share with the children that are going to be hearing this audiobook the title of the book, as well as the author and illustrator. Now in my case, the author and illustrator are the same person, so that makes it really simple. And what sound they should look for or listen for the page turn. All right, so here we go. Let's get started on recording our audio. So to do that, we just come down to the bottom of the screen. You can see your volume levels. You can play with those if you want to, but generally want to keep that fairly high. And then we're going to use record. Just click this record button to start the recording. And then we'll use the space key to stop the playback and the recording simultaneously. Okay, so when we talk about playback, we're watching at the playhead right here where it goes. And we want to stop that when we stop recording. And the easiest way to do that is to just hit that space bar. Okay, so record to start, space bar to stop. Here we go. Now it typically takes you through a little tutorial or a little wizard to see what kind of microphone you're using and to test it. So I'm using headphones today. That helps keep down some of the background noise. And you may have some other features. Knuffle Bunny, A Cautionary Tale by Mo Willems. When you hear now I want you to notice that I stopped recording after I said when you hear because at this point I need to add my audio effect that's going to tell them to turn the page. Okay, so I'm going to add a new track and open the loop library. Now it defaults to featured sounds, and you're welcome to spend hours and hours going through this, but I'm going to go ahead and say I don't want featured, I just want to see the synth. I like the synth sounds for page turns. They're kind of fun and simple. And my favorite one, scrolling down. It's a ways down here. I apologize for the delay. A, B, C, D, E, F. Fizzy soda right here. All right. So what I'm going to do is just drag. So you click and drag this up. And notice it's going to go on the track below my voice. So I'm trying to get it right lined up. My computer's responding a bit slowly, so. All right. So I'm going to drag that down so it's right lined up with my playhead. Now what I want you to notice is that it is longer than I want it to be. So it plays it once, and then it actually continues playing it. And I don't really want that to happen. I just want a single roll of that sound effect. So I'm making sure that I've clicked on this sound effect, and I'm going to drag my playhead back so that I'm only getting one of those page turn sounds. Do you see how it's lined up? There's the first one. You can see it in the little audio clip here. And then I've got my playhead lined up after that. I'm going to right click, or you can go into the edit menu, and I'm going to split the region. That's going to separate this single one here from all the rest of it. And then I'll just go through and hit delete on the pieces I don't want. Okay. So now a trick to moving back and forth between these two tracks, that I set up, is that you need to make sure you've selected the one that you want to be working on. Okay, so I'm going to go back now and finish the recording on my audio track. So I finished by saying, when you hear the, and then it's going to make that ba-da-da-ding noise. Now my playhead's lined up where I want to start. I'm going to come back in and say, turn the page. Okay, and that's going to tell them that when they hear that sound, it's going to prompt them to turn the page. So here we go. Notice it gives you a lead in. Turn the page. All right, so let's hear how that sounds from the beginning. All right, so I was on the title page. I need to have them turn the page at this point to get to the first page of the story. So I'm going to come back in, select my synth track, hopefully copy that, come back over here, and now paste it. So that now says, here's the title of the book. When you hear this particular sound effect, turn the page. And then it plays the sound effect, which tells them to turn the page to the first page of the actual story. All right, I just popped up a menu here. I'm going to close that down. And now I'm back into recording mode. Now remember, I need to make sure I've selected my vocal track before I start, and I'm going to make sure that my playhead is in the right position. All right, so here we go. Let's record the first page of the story. Not so long ago, before she could even speak words, Trixie went on an errand with her daddy. And I'll just remind you there that I'm clicking the space bar at the end of that to stop the playhead and to stop the recording. And again, I go through this process of selecting my sound effect, copying it with a right click, and then coming over here to where my playhead is, and pasting it in. And you can drag those around to line them up all you want. Okay? Now, we can have sound effects at the same time as our narration. So I'm going to show you that really quickly and then show you how to save this out. So I'm going to record one more page of the story. I've already put in my sound effect to turn the page. So let's record the next page and then I'll show you how to add a sound effect. Trixie and her daddy. Okay, so I accidentally forgot to put it on the right track. Did you notice that? So I can just delete that mistake that I made, drag my playhead back to where it needs to be, and then select the right track to make sure I'm on my narration track, not my loops track. That was a bad move on my part. All right, so let's try that again. Here's my lead in. Trixie and her daddy went down the block, through the park. All right, so in the story, Trixie and her daddy are walking down the street. So let's see if I can find a loop that has footsteps. So I'm going to search and see what I can find. Okay, so in this particular one, it doesn't look like they have a footsteps sound effect, so I could actually find one online and import that MP3 file or whatever it may be. I can even make one myself if I wanted to. And then I would just simply drag that onto this or even another track if I wanted to have my sound effects on a separate track. I could have those on there. And I would just put it right below the narration that I want it to go with. Okay, so this is not a difficult process. It's just a matter of working between these 2 or maybe even 3 tracks to get the effects that I want. All right, so once I've gone through the whole book, done my narration, done my page turn sounds, added some effects as desired. I could add music, I can add these footsteps, whatever we want to do. I'm just going to click save. Make sure that my project is saved. I can actually go in also, instead of having it say Susie's song, I can call this Knuffle Bunny. There we go, and make sure that's saved appropriately. And there we go. I have done an excellent job, I think, of creating the first 2 pages of a book. All right, so again, you can invite collaborators, which is very lovely. I'm going to go ahead out. Just checking some of the other settings. You can go back to versions prior to the most recent one if you make a mistake. So if you're saving along the way, which you should be doing, you can go back and restore older versions if you want to, so you don't have to start all over again. But you can really do a lot of correction as you go through. You just use the delete key and things like that, and it's fine. All right, so we come to File, and we can export that as an MP3 file. Okay, so it's downloading it to my computer. And then what I can do is upload that to my website. I can upload it to my Google Drive, wherever it may be, and create a shareable link for that that's accessible to the public. Once I've done that, it's really easy to connect that to a QR code, and then my students can read the book along with me. All right, that's our tutorial for today on creating an audiobook using SoundTrap. If you choose to use a different tool, they all work pretty similarly. So you should be able to translate the skills from this tutorial over to, say, if you used Audacity, if you're working on a Windows-based computer, or GarageBand if you're working on a Mac. All right, have fun working on this great project.